Welcome to my Collision review. My name is Heisman. Um, so Collision tonight was a fun show. I am not I'm not reviewing Rampage, other than Rob Van Dam being on the show because I love Rob Van Dam. I will not be reviewing Rampage because that has nothing to do with tomorrow night's pay per view for Dynasty. So we started off tonight with Collision with Adam Copeland, Eddie Kingston, and Mike Briscoe versus Top Flight. Eddie Kingston pins, uh, I think it was Dante Martin for the win. It was a fun match, a lot going on. And then after the match, House of Black showed up on the Titantron. Buddy Matthews started talking, and he said he beating up all three beating up all three opponents is going to be a lot of fun. Malachi Black enters the scene, and yeah, it's going to be a fun match. My prediction for that is I really like the House of Black. I really wish they had a better direction with AEW. I love the character development for all three guys, but I feel like Adam Copeland, Eddie Kingston, and Mike Briscoe are going to take the win. Sadly, as far as House of Black, I do not know where they go after this. I really would like Malachi to be a singles, and Buddy Matthews and Brody King to be, a tag team, so they could kind of beef up the tag division. And then there was a video package of Samoa Joe and Swerve, pretty much going over what happened on Wednesday. There was a backstage interview with Rene Paquette and Swerve was asked a couple questions about, what do you plan on doing to Samoa Joe on Sunday? And he's like, well, instead of me telling you, why don't I just go to the ring and you all can find out? And then he calls out Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe enters the ring. They go into a brawl, muscle buster to Swerve, and Samoa Joe holds the title high. Who do I think's winning that match? Swerve Strickland. I think it's time for a new. Samoa Joe has been a wonderful champion, but Swerve Strickland being the first Black AEW champion in company history, that will definitely make history for Dynasty out of all pay-per-view names. The first feud, I think, coming out of that would obviously be Hangman Page coming out of his suspension, going into a little feud there. But again, what has Hangman done other than being suspended to earn a title match? If you can call these rankings, wins matter, right? Well, if Hangman gets a shot, apparently not. After that, you had Will Hobbs versus CJ Empanada. That was pretty much a jobber match. CJ, he's probably just an enhancement talent. Will Hobbs gets the win, and obviously, with professional wrestling, we expect something after a match to follow the story. So after the match, Don Callis comes out with a mic, talks about the match with Will Ospreay and Bryan Danielson. And then the bunkhouse match going on later in the night. Again, some of these matches shouldn't have been on tonight's card. I'll get to that in a second. And then we had the Will Ospreay Bryan Danielson video package. Bryan Danielson kind of recapped his career and where he's going, and why he wants to do the things he wants to do. He basically said when he dies, people will know him for what matches he's producing at this stage of his career. Will Ospreay it was kind of a video, a voiceover of him stating from, I think it was 2 weeks ago, saying, I am the best at what I do. I am the aerial assassin. Watch me. I think that's going to be a wonderful match. As far as who's going to win, I really can't give my say. It's going to be a slobber knockers, Jim Ross likes to say. following that, I think there's going to be mutual respect between the two, and there might be an attack afterwards, and something's going to happen. Either Will aligns with the Don Callis family, or he has so much respect for Bryan that he goes into the Blackpool Combat Club. I think that'd be pretty cool, because Claudio and Moxley are they're brawlers, whereas Bryan Danielson is a technical wrestler, and then you have Will Ospreay as a high flyer. I think that would be a good mix for the faction there. Then you have the Acclaimed versus the Guns in a tag match. Again, like I stated earlier, some of these matches didn't belong on the show. I mean, you have a triple tag match on Sunday, the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn versus the Guns and Jay White. It's for the unification of the Ring of Honor tag titles and the AEW Trios titles. Why this match happened tonight, I have no idea, because no team can lose. Obviously, there was some cheap shot here from Jay White. He had the golden baseball bat that he stole from Sting, dipped in gold. Once Sting retired, he took it from Sting and dipped it in gold. Jay White, cowardly maneuver. The Guns got the win. In Wrestling 101, if a team wins, the other team will win that said pay-per-view the following day, or whenever the pay-per-view is for the go-home show. That's Wrestling 101. So the Acclaimed will win the Unified Trios Championships. As far as what's going to happen afterwards, I can't say, because AEW's tag division, even the trios, not really that hot right now. I think the Machine Gun, some tag team from TNA is coming over to AEW. Maybe that'll spice things up in the division, but we need to get back from year 1 to year 2 in AEW tag division to really make the division something spectacular. And then you had the recap of Jericho and Hook from Wednesday. Jericho, there was a video package of him talking about how he apologizes for, attacking Taz, and if he was in Hook's shoes, the amount of respect that Hook has for his father, Jericho would have done the same thing and interfered and would have been pissed off. But the thing that Jericho told Hook is that, I'm going to teach you some hard lessons, not just in wrestling, but in life. So it's going to be Jericho versus Hook for the FTW Championship. Hook's going to win, but I think it's time Jericho turns back to a heel. I personally think heels in professional wrestling, both in WWE and AEW, heels are the pinnacle of storytelling. They're like Randy Orton 2009, spectacular storytelling there. Let me see. Yeah, Tony Storm video talking about Thunder Rosa, kind of going over the match with on their match on Sunday. Tony was covered in her lipstick from Thunder Rosa's attack this past Wednesday, and she kind of just gave her lip and said, "Hey, look, this is what's going to happen. I'm gonna beat you up." That's gonna be a fun match. Who's winning that? Tony Storm's retaining for sure. It's too early for Thunder Rosa. Would she come back a couple months ago? It's too early for her. Then the Bunkhouse Brawl. Konosuke Takeshita, Kyle Fletcher versus Bryan and Claudio. This was fun for what it was. Again, shouldn't have been on the show. I mean, Bryan seems, from what I know, Bryan is the only one that's going to be on the card for the pay-per-view. So it's something for them to do. But Danielson submits Fletcher, from an interference from John Moxley. John Moxley was on the show tonight. He appeared, attacked Will Hobbs, kind of interfered in the match. And as the interference was going on, Fletcher got caught off guard, and Daniel Bryan got him in his the Cabell lock and submitted Kyle Fletcher. And Bryan, going back to the interview, this completely jarred my mind. But going back to the interview that Bryan had with Renee Paquette, he thinks that Will Ospreay had something to do with booking this match with, the bunkhouse match for Bryan to be injured going into the match, so Will would have a clean win. Will Ospreay came into frame and said, "No, I had nothing to do with this. Please believe me." So that indicates that maybe Will Ospreay might join the Blackpool Combat Club, and he's kind of getting away from the Don Callis family, because he has been a little distant when the Don Callis family has attacked the Blackpool Combat Club, while Ospreay is standing on the sideline, not doing much. He's not backing up his boys. So he might align himself with the Blackpool Combat Club, which will be fun. Layla Hirsch versus Sky Blue. It's just a match to show how good of a wrestler Sky Blue is. Going into the pay-per-view with Willow and Julia Hart. I'm surprised Julia Hart didn't show face. Neither Willow tonight. They're probably just going to save that for the pay-per-view. The two dueling it out. We know what those women are capable of when it comes to wrestling. Both are phenomenal wrestlers. I'm sure that will be a good match. Sky Blue versus Willow. Who's winning? Me being a huge fan of the House of Black, Julia Hart. But I think Willow's going to win the match because Mercedes Moné stated whoever wins that match, she's going to wrestle at Double or Nothing. So kind of full circle that Willow wins. She injured Mercedes Moné's ankle at the Japan show. And then going into Double or Nothing, it's going to be Mercedes Moné versus Willow Nightingale. Who's going to win that match? Mercedes. Double or Nothing should be a good show. Labor Day weekend. Same venue. I understand the theme, Double or Nothing, casino, but I mean, there are casinos all around the country. You could easily go to another state where there's a huge casino, even a venue next door. You got the Hard Rock in Tampa, Orlando. You've got the Hard Rock Atlantic City casino in Atlantic City. Atlantic City is all over the country, and All In. I really would like to go to an All In show one year. Luckily, this year, World's End will be in Orlando, December 28th. I'm looking to go. I'm excited to see what AEW will be like in December, as far as the roster, what stories are told, and if Tony Khan can book his shows properly. Just because Tony Khan has a lot of money and is pleasing TBS with what he's doing for his shows, the ratings, us fans matter. And if you're not putting on good TV, some of these matches, like I said, shouldn't even been on the show tonight, because you have it's going to take away from the pay-per-view. But Tony Khan, a lot of people say he's Mr. Pay-per-view. He books pay-per-views great. It's insane. Shows like this, they're throwaway shows. I mean, they do show some story. It is a go-home show for Dynasty. But when it comes to the pay-per-view, Tony Khan always delivers. We'll see what happens on Wednesday for the after show. Those are usually pretty good too. And then the main event, the Young Bucks the Young Bucks and Kazuchika Okada versus the Rainmaker. Young Bucks and the Rainmaker Kazuchika Okada versus FTR and Pac. Again, this should not have been on the show. You have FTR facing the Young Bucks in a ladder match for the tag titles that they ironically were in the finals for. And they say that the CM Punk footage a couple weeks ago is gonna broaden the storyline. CM Punk's not in the he's not in the company anymore. And I put this in my notes. There were CM Punk chants going on throughout the match. They were pretty loud. I heard them. You got the biggest star is CM Punk at AEW. He doesn't work. He doesn't work there anymore. It's crazy. FTR and Pac. Pac wins with the red arrow to Kazuchika Okada. He gets the win. Again, and then you got the Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada and Pac on Sunday for the I think it's the triple count. It's for the Continental Championship. Who's winning that match? Okada, because heel. And he just won the title. Who's winning? Young Bucks versus FTR? Young Bucks are winning. That way, the Elite has all the gold. Eventually, Kenny Omega's going to come back, and then the story's going to unfold. And maybe AEW will have a story that can take us from now, to the summer, to the fall, into Next Revolution, just like WWE is doing with the Bloodline. It's going to last us until now, the summer, the fall, until next WrestleMania when you got The Rock and Roman Reigns. That's how you book long-term booking. Tony Khan only does for short-term. He doesn't look long-term. He looks at the ratings, he looks at cage match, and that's about it. I love Tony Khan. I love what he does. I'm so happy that him, the Bucks, Kenny, even Cody formed AEW. I was at the show. I was at the first show, October 2nd, with my wife in 2019 at the Capitol Arena in Washington, D.C. I had no idea who any of these guys were except Chris Jericho and Jon Moxley. But guess what? I watched every week. Every single week, and I got to know the wrestlers. I got to know MJF. I got to know, Scorpio Sky. I got to know the tag teams, the Lucha Brothers, where they came from, the Triple C, from the Mexican division in Mexico, the Mexican wrestling company. But I consistently watched every single week. The stories got better. One week led to the next. Stories mattered. Watching tonight, going into the pay-per-view, I won't be covering it. I'm sure there'll be others out there covering it. But it doesn't excite me. I know it's going to be a fabulous pay-per-view, but it was just a show on Saturday night, and it being, April, nice weather. A lot of people probably aren't watching tonight. I think Rampage is still going on. That's a throwaway show. Except for Rob Van Dam Wrestling, that does nothing to do with the pay-per-view. As I stated earlier, Rampage needs to be eradicated from AEW programming. Just have Dynamite and Collision, and that's it. Rampage. It was good for the first couple months when they debuted CM Punk, but ever since then it's just been throw on matches, and nothing's really stuck. Although the graphics are pretty cool, it reminds me of something out of Mortal Kombat. I think that's all I got, guys. If you'd enjoy this, give a thumbs up, subscribe, and comment. I would love to hear what you guys think about the show. And yeah, I'll be streaming on Monday for Monday Night Raw. So catch you guys then.